We're going to break down the latest here on Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. It is the second video, of course, of the day. So if you haven't already, make sure you guys are subscribed. It's multiple videos per day here on the Cowboys Report. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button right now. A lot of Dak Prescott information to get into on today's show. Some of it contradictory, and maybe it's new info, maybe it's not. Ian Rapoport's latest Dak Prescott update post earlier this afternoon seems to indicate a Dak Prescott deal is not going to happen. There is some mixing here of sourced information from Rapoport and what Jerry Jones had said publicly today. First, the details from Rapoport. The Cowboys and Dak Prescott have a mutual understanding of his contract situation, sources say, with no offers from Dallas despite him being in a contract year. Owner Jerry Jones said, "We are where we are, locked and loaded for this year. No indication a deal is coming." Now, to me, that report from Rapoport reads out like they're going to play out the contract here. We will go more in depth on why I think that is a terrible idea, no matter which side of the Dak debate you're on. But first, here is what Jerry Jones said with the full quote, courtesy of Michael Gehlken of the Dallas Morning News. "We are where we are. We have our contract locked and loaded for this year. We can see as we move along how we are thinking. We, inclusive of everybody, us, Dak. And we'll see what we do. I don't have anything to report today." Now, after Rapoport's tweet, Michael Gehlken sent this one, and I put it in the quote form because it was going to be too long to fit the tweet graphic. "The Cowboys have not ruled out a Dak Prescott extension this year," a team official said. "As has been the case, there is no guarantee a deal comes together in 2024, and even is some belief it could benefit the club's financial situation if an extension was to wait until 2025. I am going to come back to this idea that the Cowboys are better off waiting because it's just freaking wrong. But I have made this point before, and I will make it again. The Cowboys are bad at this. This is not the way NFL teams do operate, should operate, or anything in between. This is not a good process from the Cowboys. If you're pro Dak, you should be mad because they're not paying the top 10 quarterback and it's going to cost them money next year. If you're anti-Dak, think they don't believe in him, then why is he here making a big contract? Move on, take your losses, rip the Band-Aid off. The Cowboys' plan is to do nothing. You're taking a massive risk here with little upside, right? We know how this is going to go with this team, with this roster, with this coaching staff and quarterback. They'll be a playoff team probably. They'll probably go one and done. Dak will put up top 10 quarterback numbers, and he'll be a free agent with no power, no control to retain him next year. That's not a good place to be in. There's a very real chance that 2024 is Dak's last dance with the Dallas Cowboys. And that should be worrisome because you should have more than enough information to make up your mind. There are plenty of other teams like, ooh, that's an upgrade over our guy. We'll have interest there. We haven't seen a quarterback of this age, in theory, this level of health, assuming he stays healthy, which is actually my biggest concern, frankly, and this level of play hit the open market. Hasn't happened. Brady was old. You saw what his contract demand was. Ended up still playing very, very well, of course. Manning was coming off potentially career-ending neck injury. Kirk Cousins was not as good. This is not a good spot to be in. Whatever side you're on, I don't think you should be happy right now. A lot more to come, of course. Is this Dak Prescott's last year with the Dallas Cowboys? Y for yes, N for no. It is the pinned comment on today's video. The ad comes on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. I think there is a very good chance he hits free agency. And that's a very bad idea for the Cowboys because you will likely lose him for little. You get a third-round comp pick, which means you can't spend in free agency or else you're going to lose that comp pick, and we know how much the Cowboys crave their compensatory draft pick formula. And in the end, all it does is put the rebuild back a year. You should know what your plan is. The contract is very clear, and it's not in a great spot, but you have the ability to put it in a better spot. You are choosing. This is not like, oh, poor Cowboys, they're broke. No, they're choosing to go down this path. At a $55.46 million cap hit, do more with less is somehow a viable strategy in the NFL. It's freaking not. And you're taking $40+ million in dead money next year. You're paying significant high-end franchise quarterback cap hits this year and next. And that is of your choice, of your choosing, and your own design. They do not have to be in this position. They are choosing to be here. And I think to a certain extent, Dak's like, you know what, that's fine. I don't, frankly, and I think McCarthy should feel the exact same way. I think a lot of players and coaches on this team should feel the same way. They don't feel supported because the front office has not acted in a supportive fashion pretty consistently. An extension would help the cap hits. And if your goal is to win games now, that's what you should be doing in the next 2 to 3 year window, whatever it is. If your goal is to rebuild, you should rip the Band-Aid off and get going. It is past time for an actual decision. This ride it down the middle, toe the line bullshit isn't going to work. It's not a good strategy. In fact, it's not even a strategy. So whichever side you're on, and at this point, I don't care what sides you're on. It's political. Everyone's dug their feet in. So be it. If you think Dak is the guy, if you like top 10 quarterback, I don't want to move on from that. Yeah, it's too risky. Okay, then pay the guy. At that point, the money doesn't matter. You will have to rebuild at some point. 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever you have to do it. So make the money time up then. If you don't think it's going to happen with this team as constructed, okay, then start the rebuild. Work with Dak for a trade. Hell, worst case, just cut him and move on. Because how much is a third-round pick really going to change your fortunes at that point with extra big cap hits? You're going to pay $40 million for an extra third? That's a bad investment. The Cowboys process is terrible. I am not done ranting and raving here on today's show, but it is made possible by Game Time. Game Time is the place for last-minute tickets to your next big event, whether it is maybe you're going to go to March Madness, Sweet 16 games in Dallas this weekend, this Thursday. Or Friday, excuse me. Maybe you're in the market for going to some Rangers games. Maybe you're going to go to a Stars game, Mavs game. Game Time has you covered for sport events and concerts too, theater, comedy, etc. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. You can buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps. New promo code, by the way. It's now just Chat Sports for $20 off your first purchase. So if you haven't already, download the Game Time app, gametime.co. Create your account. Use code CHATSPORTS, Chat Sports, for $20 off. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. That's gametime.co with promo code ChatSports. Now, in this Dak conversation, the higher level of it, we do need to start in the proper place. Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback. If we're not starting there, and you can rank him wherever you want in the top 10, not 2 like his brother did, but I digress. That is a valuable player to have. Second team All-Pro seasons are not found easily. That's not how the NFL works. That's not how quarterback play works. This level of quarterback play, injuries are the concern that I have, frankly. But that type of play, when you're not at the very end of your career, does not hit the open market. It's not how NFL teams do business, because if another NFL team, that the GM and head coach would all get fired. But there's no desperation. There's zero sense of urgency to actually win football games from this front office, Jerry and Steven. Now, this is not to say that Dak is blameless. He absolutely gets his share of the blame. Maybe more than his share of the blame, because it's the quarterback spot. And I get the playoff frustration. We are right to feel that way. But we also can't let the Jones boys place the blame on one guy. That's not how this is supposed to operate. You've got a top 10 quarterback. I would argue you don't have a top 10 coach. There are several other position groups, coaching groups that I don't think you're top 10. And when you get to the postseason, the margins get really thin. And if you start solely on offense, Dak, McCarthy, ground game, things go poorly. When you can't stop a nosebleed on the ground or through the air, defense, things go poorly. I truly wish it was one thing you could change about this team and it's all better. It's not. I think if you're power ranking the issues, quarterback's not even in the top 5 for me. With that said, if you want to rebuild because maybe, for example, you don't think the team can build out the way it needs to be built with the current situation for the quarterback, etc., I get it. That's fine. That is a plan. All I want is a plan from this damn team. What is their plan? What are they trying to accomplish right now? If their goal is to win games right now, it is clear and obvious this plan sucks. They've signed one outside free agent. They've spent about a quarter of the next least spending team in free agency. It's a bad win games now plan because they're cheap. It's a bad rebuild plan because why have they made the moves and not made other moves to rebuild? Why did you sign an aging veteran linebacker? Why did you bring back Jordan Lewis? Why haven't you moved on from Dak and other players who don't fit a rebuild timeline? The plan is just to do nothing, and that sucks as a plan. It's not a good plan. It's, well, you know what? It didn't work last time. We've tried nothing, and we're all out of ideas. We know how this is going to go, right? We know exactly what's going to happen if the team doesn't actually make changes. They'll probably be a 9-10 win football team. Dak will play great in the regular season. He'll drag him into the postseason. And then when the margins get thinner, when the coaching staff's issues come to light, if the offense starts slow again, if the defense can't force turnovers, they'll be one and done again in the postseason. And they'll be a not bad team, which is the Cowboys' real plan, but they won't be good enough. And then Dak will be a free agent. And the Jones boys will blame him instead of letting them themselves take the responsibility. And then you are in a bad spot. My allegiance is to the Cowboys. I will not be leaving if Dak leaves. But I will be anxious about where this team is headed. So what would you do? What would be your preferred plan? And by the way, you kind of missed the boat for both of these to do them right. W for win now, R for rebuild. The Cowboys' plan, by the way, is don't be bad. And they are still jeopardizing that as a plan in 2025 and beyond. I do want to go back to this quote from Jane Slater. And it kind of ties into what Gehlken reported today as well. That Dak and the Cowboys, this was from a month ago or so, or somewhere in that ballpark, haven't had contract extensions. But that's not a cause for alarm, actually. And she could see a deal coming to fruition in August. Because, again, that makes sense. Doing nothing is not a plan. It is very clear to me, and I think most of us, this team hasn't made progress. And they haven't tried to make progress. They haven't. This is what Gehlken said earlier today, right? The Cowboys have run out of Dak Prescott extension. Been no talks. No guarantee deal comes together. And there is some belief it could benefit the club's financial situation if an extension was to wait until 2025. I want to be clear. No, it's fucking not. I will apologize for the language. We're 14 minutes in. It's fine. This is not true. Full stop. Waiting is only more expensive. You can roll money over if you don't want to spend it this season. Waiting is not a plan when you have zero control over keeping the quarterback. In the end, it's going to be his decision. Does he want to come back to Dallas or go somewhere where he'll be more appreciated or whatever? I am worried about how this team is going to look moving forward. There's a scenario in which it all works out somehow, right? Trey Lance ends up being a godsend. The quarterback they find next ends up being great. They get lucky again. This is about process. It's a results-based business, but this whole conversation is a process conversation. The Cowboys are running the risk of losing a top 10 quarterback. And not only that, having no actual plan in place. Trey Lance is a free agent next season. You actually have zero quarterbacks under contract for 2025. Zero. He's going to play in the preseason. Ideally, he looks great in the preseason. Because otherwise, you feel like you wasted a 4th-round pick at minimum, right? That's like your worst case, best, however you want to spin it, scenario right there. He's also a free agent. He, in theory, is not going to play in games that actually matter. How much are you going to bank 2025 on your young developmental quarterback who hasn't played real NFL games in like 3 years and barely played previously? You'll probably have a pick in the 20s. So whatever, I want this quarterback, well, either A, you are not going to be in range to get him. B, he'll be available, but do you want to bank on the late first-round pick quarterback? If he was really good, shouldn't he be going earlier? Are you going to trade up and give all these assets to do it? Or are you just going to delay the rebuild for a year? What's your plan there? Oh, by the way, you're still paying quarterback money, big quarterback money, because you fucked up the quarterback contract the first time around. The Cowboys are an unserious franchise. They do not know what they are doing. They are not going about this properly. Whatever side you're on the Dak wars, whatever you want to call it, of keep him, don't keep him, it's fine. I'm over having that conversation. But their process about what this team wants is very bad. They're kind of franchising not to lose. And just like coaching not to lose, they're going to lose in the end.